I've One Coder back again, this time with Max from Manaspark Studios, showing us how we can make fantastic games using his One Logic StateMachine tool for Unity 3D. It's a great tool so you can make games without needing to know how to code, and if you are a coder, it's a fantastic tool to help you as well. So sit back, enjoy, and I'll see you all in a moment. Which demo scene should I load up in the state machine? Should I load up demo scene or demo scene extended?
Yeah, do the extended. It was a demo scene I made for a tutorial. Second tutorial, I guess.
So here I am in the demo scene. I'm going to click back on the inspector. So this is what you would do first of all?
Yeah, you wouldn't do it now because it's already set up. Should I explain something about it?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. Well, basically, there are two types of state machine controllers. These controllers have the classic animator on it because the animator is running the state machine, and this state machine is nothing more than an animator controller graph, like the asset you create. And the controller state machine, it relies on static references, so you can put actions in it that don't need actual reference, for example, to an UI controller or all the static stuff in your game, like leaderboards, server connection, and whatever. And the entity stuff is what came new with update 2.0. Like the little robot that flew around, it just concentrating on a single entity, and you can have multiple entities, multiple state machines running at the same time. And the controller state machine should only exist once in the scene.
Ooh.
You can even see it in the hierarchy on the left. There's this little sender icon, this orange little thing, and it's called High Level Game State Machine. And on the right, you have the controller component. There's also a little field for diagnostics on it. At the moment, everything's fine. And under it, there's the animator.
Great, there seems to be no issue.
Yeah.
Like that. Alright, let's close that little thing. Alrighty then. So it's well, I mean, what? I'm confused. I haven't read any manual, done anything, and as I never do.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to read a manual, are you, Max? You're just supposed to start poking about until things break.
Yeah, maybe. I think it's good to take a look in the documentation, but I would try to guide you through this. Maybe at first take a look at the animator window. You have already opened it. Yeah.
There we go.
And I think you're familiar with this view. It's like an animation thing. And now click on the state, for example, the menu state. Yeah. And now on the right side,
look at this.
Exactly. This is you add these so-called behaviors. It's a state machine behavior. It's Unity class, just like a MonoBehaviour component, but for these animator states. And you can write your own state machine behavior. Like if you open it up, you have the on state enter, exit, etc. callbacks, and you do your logic in it. And why I wrote this tool is there's a generic component where you just can click together your actions. So you see there are two custom actions. It's a list where you can add new ones. Controller type means somewhere I have a class written. It's called menu controller, and in this menu controller there are some functions like for toggling the canvas of the main menu. And it says on exit. So if we were leaving the menu state, so in the state base exit, we want to call the function called toggle menu canvas. And if you click on the little gear icon on the left, this is a super new feature. Let's try it. Click on edit in script. Could take quite a while now if it tries to open up your editor. I hope it works. And now it should be jumping to the function toggle menu canvas. Cool. So you can directly inspect where it's coming from. So basically, if I want to describe it in just a few words, you put or define some actions on a state, say when it shall happen. And these actions that shall happen, you can completely define in your scripts. So this is, for example, an action that I've wrote myself, and it's the only thing that it does is starting coroutine, I think. Yeah, it's calling a private function that starts a coroutine in the end, and it's just lerping the alpha value of the canvas. But this has nothing to do with the state machine. This is, for example, the custom code base you write for yourself. And everything the state machine is doing is just calling these methods and referencing them in the editor.
So it's unlike some of the other things we looked at. It's not saying, okay, you don't have to get your hands dirty with any code. It's just an easy way of managing how to do your code and the state machine together. So it's kind of like cleaning things up for you.
Yeah, exactly. That was my motivation, because I personally needed something like a hub or a central layout where I see every connection of methods interacting with each other. So, for example, in the train project, at first you are in the mode where you have to place the tunnel, then you have to place the rails, and then the train is coming, etc., etc. And all these sequences and methods interacting with each other, I think it was hard to keep it in mind, or else I had to write a documentary or something like this. And with a state machine, I think it's a little bit easier to keep track of connections and things.
Ooh, I love it. I mean, how did you do all these editor stuff? I mean, sitting there trying to work out how to customize the Unity editor windows, pulling my hair out.
Yeah, it's awkward.
This is nice.
Shall we do
something
completely from scratch, like doing a debug log message?
Well, let's what in this existing project, or
we can, yeah, let's do it in this one.
Yeah.
We will, or maybe hit play and we can first investigate what's happening.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So
we would need the game window and the animator window.
Gonna put you. How should I do you? There's a good way of doing it. I'll do you down the bottom, like that. Make you. There you go. And
the animator.
You over here, like that, and you can be on the half there.
Yeah, great. So let's first select the menu stage so we can see it in the inspector. And yeah, just hit play.
It's exciting.
So now we are just in the menu stage, nothing exciting is happening, and we hit toggle effect. Yeah, you have seen on the top we have changed the mode, and you can click on toggle effect again. Then we are back. And if you go to the animator window and go a little bit to the right with it, yeah, you see there's another state, or better say a sub-state machine. It's like a folder for states. And by hitting the toggle effect button, the transition is enabled between menu state and this sub-state machine. So it goes out of menu state, and if you select menu state again, yeah, hit toggle effect and click on menu state, you'll see at the top it says from the controller type or class menu controller, on exit, call the method toggle menu canvas. And yeah, if you're leaving and going, for example, to the effect state or play mode state, we are actually leaving, and then this function is called, we have selected there. And yeah, it toggles the canvas. So if you watch the start button, it fades away. And if we go back in, it fades in. Same with the effect that's sparkling there. It's in the effect group. there are some functions that first evaluate the checkbox. I don't see the checkbox in your game window. Maybe it's because of the aspect. Select maybe 1920 by 1080
One
or something like that.
second.
Or standalone. Yeah.
There
Yeah,
we
there's a little checkbox, and if you check it, you can see it's continuously evaluating things. The main problem is there's not the non plus ultra way to do things. You can achieve things like always in programming in a lot of ways. So, for example, you can run the checking function for if the checkbox is the checkbox checked or is it not. You can do it like in an observer in an update loop, or you can do it now in the new version with an event. There are many ways how to do it. You could click on the effect is playing state. Yeah, at the top. The one
there we
that's
go.
active.
Yep.
Yeah. There are several things like the one with a purple icon.
This one here.
It's, yeah, effect manager. It says set red material, so it changes the particle effect to red, but only under the condition. There is one condition, and the condition is if evaluate checkbox. It's a method with a bool return value. If the return value of this method matches the must return value, which is here set to true. It maybe at the first look it's a little bit complicated, but basically it's just a method with a bool return value, and you check against it is the condition. So if the condition applies, it changes the material to red. If not, it changes it to blue.
Should we click start?
Yeah, we can do it. In this demo, I think I built something like every 2 seconds. It's the switching between the waiting and spawn state. Every 2 seconds, one of these spheres gets spawned. And every time a sphere gets spawned, the drone gets a message and it says, "Hey, there's a new sphere. Calculate where's the closest sphere now." And I think it's just using a nav mesh agent, and then the new target is set. That's everything that's happening in here. And with the state machine for this demo, I've built this cycle switching every 2 seconds. Because you can do it, for example, with a delay. On the right, you can see, I think you have selected the waiting state, and you see there is a delay of 2 seconds.
There it
So
is.
every two seconds, it's calling the set animator bool function. It's the same function you would call on an animator. I think it's animator set animator trigger or something like this. It's just it's in the helper component, so you can actually reference it. And every 2 seconds, it enables the transition to go from waiting to spawn. So in spawn, in the on enter event, it spawns a new sphere, and after 2 seconds again, it goes back, and this ping pongs every time around. And every time the drone catches a new sphere, it gets faster and faster. So you can see on the top left corner, it says level 33 now, and if there was a correct aspect ratio of the game, there should be a little plus icon anywhere. Yeah, and if you hit plus, you can spawn collectibles on your own. There is no particular reason for this kind of demo. I think it's maybe a little bit too complicated for showing my state machine. It's a very complicated system, and I had a lot of struggle with explaining it in videos or showing it on images. Even now, when live on the street, it's hard for me to tell what it's doing.
It's cool. I mean, we're looking at this, and I'm immediately thinking that because I've made my own very crude state machine, I'm thinking I just need to convert what I did to use this instead. It would make my life a lot easier.
Basically, where you can save some time is you add a generic state machine behavior to a statement to a state, you don't have to write everything on your own. You can use code you already have by just selecting code via the interface over there. Like, okay, from class example, I want to call method example, and this should happen when entering or exiting. So you can click together your functions and say when it shall happen. That's basically everything that's going on.
That's cool. Right, let's make something. Let's do our...
Yeah.
So, let's do it.
So what could we do? Maybe start with simple debug message.
Yeah, let's do a debug message.
Okay. First of all, I would recommend to maybe write a new script just for doing the debug message.
Just go in here and make this called debug message.
Right. So no, just write your method for the debug message. In the documentation, there are a few restrictions, like it has to be static if we are using a controller state machine, or not static if we are on an entity state machine, like for the little robot we have seen. And the return value, I don't think it's important.
Oh,
what do you
want me to do?
You can leave it void. Do it static. Public static void is okay, and put a string input parameter in there. So let's make it a variable. String message or something.
What do you want me to do now?
Do the debug.log. Am I missing something? Why it's red?
Oh, okay. What?
Okay, it's the same like the MonoBehaviour class. It's a great name.
Thank you.
And in the documentation, you will find a chapter where it says if you want to make methods available for your state machine, you have to add an interface. And we are doing a controller state machine, so an overall high-level state machine. So we have to add, after MonoBehaviour, we are adding an interface. It's just for filtering classes. There's no particular reason. And the interface is, after MonoBehaviour, we type I action controller.
You what? With the what? Now with the what? What?
Yeah, a comma, and capital I action controller. Okay, you have to import maybe the namespace, the Manaspark. .logic. Sorry. Yeah.
There we go.
No, there should be I action controller.
There he is.
Yep. I think that should be it. Okay, save and go back.
Okay.
So now, in order for our state machine to find this method, we need an actual object which holds this MonoBehaviour component. So add a new, and then we're adding, I think it was debug message.
No, oh, oops, hang on. My mouse just went through the window.
Yeah.
Hang on, where's my floppy? Because I need to. There we go.
Yeah. And
my hierarchy back over here so I can actually make sense of what I'm doing. There we go.
So now click in the hierarchy on the high-level game state machine.
High-level game state machine. Here it is.
And now let's create a new state. Click on it, and on the right we say add behavior, and the first one is the controller state actions. So by now, okay, everything works fine. So we click on the little plus icon on the list. There should be your debug message class we have just created. Yeah, this one.
And that's just because we've got it in here.
Yeah, first criteria is we have the interface implemented, and because it's a controller state machine, we need the static keyword for the method. And let's do it in enter and function to call. You can select
Floppy.
and it automatically scans the input parameter. So you can enter your debug message. And another feature, if you don't know where you have put it in your scene, click on the little gear icon and select the second one. So so ploppy plops. Great. Okay, so this method gets called when you're entering the state. So we now need to transition to the state. Create one from menu state. Yeah, to it. Okay, and now yeah, let's investigate the menu state. If you select it, on the right you already
Ooh.
see yeah.
Dear, it's not happy, is it?
So it's a warning because we cannot transition from menu state to floppy state, because if you click on the transition you have just created, you'll see there's no condition. So so that's why we can't pass it. So maybe just create a new parameter in the animator for it. Yeah, on the left of the animator window.
What should we make?
Make a trigger. That's something I'm not satisfied about with using the animator, like using these parameters. Yeah, so
Got floppy trigger.
yeah, and we add the floppy trigger to it. And let's expand the settings of this transition. It's already disabled. Usually there's it has exit time, blah blah blah, and it already gets unset because if it wasn't unset, it wouldn't happen immediately. You can also maybe tick it, click has exit time, and now click in your hierarchy on the high level game state machine. Yeah, and in the diagnostics fields, you can see now from when we're going from menu state to floppy state, it has a delay. It's a warning because delay means if you want to go from state A to B, it doesn't happen immediately with a delay. So maybe this leads to bugs.
Okay.
And the other way around, if you are going from menu state to floppy state, there's a double message. So you will always get a lot of warnings, and you are informed if there's something not correct. So we have to uncheck the has exit time maybe. And I think we were fine. Oh, could you check floppy state again? Yeah, and it also tells you, hey, watch out, there's a dead end, because once we're in floppy state, we can't go back.
Yeah, once you're in floppy state, mate, that's it.
Yeah.
There's no going back from floppy state. You can't.
So yeah, I think everything's fine for trying out. So you can now hit play, and at the moment you would have to set the trigger manually.
Yeah, let's
just for trying out.
Alright, let's make sure.
Yeah, let's do a button.
Let's do a button. Let's do a button.
Yeah.
I hate the Unity UI.
That's already a UI. Just add a button.
You've got a start button, so I'm gonna duplicate your start button.
Yeah.
And gonna make this one called a floppy button.
We could use a new feature I've introduced in 2.3, I think, with events. So we would have to add a method in the debug. Let's do it in the debug method, or maybe in the menu controller class. Let's stay nice and clean.
Okay.
Yeah, you've already opened it. The menu controls in your Visual Studio, and let's add a public static on floppy pressed static void on pressed method.
Should we have a ball in there?
We don't need one because this method will just call an event. And now we will need an event. let me think about how is it called. I think it's a state action event. So you would need to do public static event of type state action event. If you haven't
Public
imported.
static.
Yeah, you definitely have to use the event keyword. Event, yeah. And I don't know, have you imported? Yeah, it should work. Now type state action event. State, yeah. And something with floppy. How you like. The action event, great. Yeah. And yeah, just semicolon and yep. And on floppy press, just call the event and maybe check if it has something assigned or not. So if you're using C#7, you could say floppy action event question mark dot invoke or something like this.
Was it invoke?
Yeah, invoke. Or just let's check it with an if statement. If floppy action event unequals null. Let's stay classic.
Yeah. If my floppy is what?
Not null.
Oh man. My
Unequals.
yeah.
Yeah.
I can tell that I've been asleep for 6 hours in the middle of the daytime, and then I'm gonna.
Yeah. And then we are executing the event. So how was your meal at the restaurant today?
Oh man, it was a double giraffe burger.
Sounds very good.
Hang on, what am I doing here? I'm
Yeah, just calling I think bracelet.
what I'm gonna do?
I don't know, but just executing the event, like floppy action event. What's the word? Come on. Bracket. Sorry. Bracket open and close. Yeah, semicolon. That's it.
I don't need to stick anything in it.
No, because it's just calling the event and
Okay.
what we are doing. Yeah, and what we have to do now is applying the on floppy press function to the button you've created.
The burger that I had had bacon, cheese, 2 beef patties, potato things in them as well, and a load of chips.
Jesus Christ!
I could feel my arteries closing, and
Oh.
as I ate it, my kids were still eating. One of them had got like double sausages and chips and beans, and the other one got fish fingers and chips. And I had started to digest because I don't have a gallbladder anymore. My gallbladder got removed a few years back. So if I eat a load, it takes a lot out of me. So I'm sitting there trying to digest, and my wife is just going like, "Can you not go to sleep?" I said, "I'm not going to sleep. My eyes are closed. I'm listening to you. I'm just digesting." She goes, "No, you're asleep. You're snoring in the restaurant." I'm breathing. That's the noise I make when I breathe.
That's my natural.
So she's like, "Okay, when you get home, you can sleep, but for now, try to stay awake." So I'm like, "Fine, I'll try to stay awake. Can't guarantee anything. Let's do this." And the kids then are basically saying that they've done well. They've said they didn't do that well. One of them ate 1 sausage. The other one ate a small little bit of the fish fingers were huge, like the size of a plate. Proper like fresh fish. So that was nice. And we said, okay, fine. To stop, because it's a fun day out, we give them a dessert. They got ice cream and a brownie each. Now, obviously, the youngest didn't want ice cream because he's a child. Every child loves ice cream except for my one, who doesn't like ice cream unless it's by itself with nothing else. So he starts crying that the ice cream is melting on his chocolate brownie, and therefore he won't eat his chocolate cake. So I have to take his ice cream, and I decided to order to share with the missus a sundae. A big ice cream in a long glass. Rocky Road it was called.
Sounds great. Now I want a burger.
Yeah, man. And by the time I blinked and took his ice cream to put into the rocky road, I discovered that my wife has eaten half of this thing already. And I'm like, you've eaten half of it. She goes, well, if you're going to cry about it, you can go and buy an ice cream from an ice cream van. And now the kids are going, I want ice cream from the ice cream van. And I turn to the little one, I say, A, you won't even eat the ice cream that's in your plate. So why would I go out and buy you ice cream from an ice cream van? And B, I don't want to get out of my chair, so no one's getting an ice cream from an ice cream van. Everyone just sit down and calm down. And I turn around and my oldest is sitting there and he's just munching away through, eating all of his ice cream. Hasn't even started on his brownie yet. So I decided, like, at this point, if I had slept, I know I would have been in less trouble. So we got home, unloaded, we bought a load of plants. The wife and the kids in the garden now, digging up the garden, planting plants, watering. I just went upstairs and had to sleep. And
Good
then
plan.
I woke up at a bath, and now I'm chatting with you. And that's why my brain is now turned to mush.
Awesome day.
Awesome day.
Yeah, I think we're doing something wrong here. I've misdirected you. You see on the right, it's saying missing menu controller. It's
Yeah.
because the method was static too. If the method is static, you can reference it in the.
Okay.
But it does need to be static. I think it was my fault. Yeah. Only the event must be static. That's the point. So by now we should be able to select it.
There he is.
Yeah, awesome. And now please go to the animator before you press play, because we have to assign the event.
Oh, of course we do.
Yeah, floppy state, and now change the state phase to on the right. Yeah, on the right to on event, and we say menu controller on. Yeah. You're doing great.
I know, my brain is finally starting to wake up. My brain's starting to wake up when I couldn't remember how to write an if statement.
Nice. I don't have to do anything, so it should work.
Alright, so here's my ploppy.
Yeah.
My ploppy's up here at the top. I want to just have him running around, but I want to click my ploppy.
Yeah. I hope it works. It's not working.
What did I break?
Yeah.
We didn't actually add anything here.
Sorry. It was wrong what we're doing. You just leave play mode. I was too distracted from your giraffe burger. Sorry.
We added it up here instead of down here, didn't we?
No. We still have to be on floppy state. We shouldn't have. So let's recap. It says on the event, if we click floppy, it shouts the floppy message. But this will only happen if we were on the state.
Yeah.
What we wanted to have to do is when we click the button, we want to activate the transition. That's what I want to do. So you can delete this list entry. So click somewhere on the text. Yeah, press the minus, and now we are doing the plus button and say Logic StateMachine controller. Yeah, because we want to do on event. On event, yeah. You were right, yeah. State phase on event, and the event folder is the menu controller, because that's where the floppy event is. The pressing of the start button.
As you would expect.
Oh no, sorry. It's not my day. Yeah, I think you were right. We have to do the event on the menu state.
I was going to say, are we going back into what we were doing?
Yeah.
I need to do. It's not letting me get out of here. Get out of here, man.
Yeah, just delete this one.
I can't delete. There you go. I can only delete once I finish doing your.
Yeah. We have to do the event thing on there. It's been some time that I've used it. Yeah.
That's right.
By now we have some routine.
We just got to go and get a burger.
Yeah.
That's all.
Oh, it's a great idea.
No.
Yeah. Just do it, and then we will see what happens.
It looks like it's still wanting something.
Yeah, you have to subscribe the function, because that's only the event.
Which
And the event
is
set animator trigger, and now you have to type in the name. I think it's ploppy trigger with a lowercase p. Yeah. That's something I don't like about the animator, like the string comparing. I have to admit that's one downside. I think. Yeah,
I did similar thing, but I had there was, I can't remember what there is, but you can do a method from in Unity to actually look for all of these here and then stick them in a list.
I've tried, so I couldn't get my hands on it. But maybe if you have.
I remember somebody. I think it might have been the maybe the holistic 3D girl.
Yeah.
Woman. How
Yeah, it was my plan to do a drop-down list of it. Maybe I should investigate later. So let's recap. When we are on the state menu state, the function setAnimator trigger we have selected here automatically gets subscribed to the ploppy action event. So if we click the button, the event is called, and so the function setAnimator trigger with the parameter name ploppy trigger will be called. After this, the transition is clear and we are going to ploppy state. Now on ploppy state, we want to show the debug message. So we have to go to ploppy state.
So
yeah, and there we click the plus button. Say where is it? Yeah, debug message.
And enter.
Yeah, enter. Copy, and then you can type in your message.
There you go.
Man, I hope this works.
Okay, is everyone at home ready?
Yeah, now click ploppy.
Yay!
Yeah! I am so relieved. Yeah, you have to get a special mindset for doing this. Like you have to know that if you're choosing the event timing, that only when you're on the state the event is active. So in the internal onStateEnter method, the event gets subscribed, and in the internal onStateExit method, the event gets unsubscribed. So the events are only active when you're on the actual state where it's set. So what we have done, we were on the menu state, and when we clicked the ploppy button, the event was called, and to the event was subscribed the function setAnimator trigger, and setAnimator trigger led us to the ploppy state, and on ploppy state we said onStateEnter, please tell us that we love ploppy.
And one state machine.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, of course. I didn't see that. Thank you.
Now, could people use this to make other assets? Like, if I was making assets and I wanted to use the one state machine, how would I be able to do that without including the one state machine and selling it? Or is that not possible? Like a DLL, then could you DLL it?
So you mean without using my editor?
Yeah, like you know, you've got. Have you seen that Odin? Odin's fun for, like, you know, you can make custom editor stuff, and everyone loves it. But the problem with Odin is that currently it's doing an update. Eventually, it'll be available, but you can't actually make something to sell using Odin because it requires Odin.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to make an asset like my muck, and I was like, give up writing all my own stuff, I want to use a state machine, and then I was like, you know what I could do, like you did with your train, I could save myself a lot of time and use one state machine.
I think it is possible. I've managed to export a project I had to give away, and I was using state machine anyway, and I didn't want the one who got the project to use my tool. And I think if you just delete the inspector, the custom inspector scripts, you're not able to inspect the states, but the infos for the state, like there are some strings for method names, parameter names, etc. They are still stored on the state machine behavior.
Oh, nice.
So it
Cool.
would run on the states, but you could not fix anything or manipulate them.
So yeah, it's good if you wanted to do something that was locked down.
Yeah. So you would need to keep some scripts from my asset. Like if you you have selected the property state on the right, the controller state action, the script for it, you would have to keep it. But if you delete the custom inspector script for this one, you were not able to change anything, but the infos were still there. But I have not thought about putting it in a DLL yet. So there were still some parts of my asset you would have to sell away with the asset.
Oh, we'll get there in the end.
Yeah, but I think if someone would want to use it and asks me, I think it would be no problem.
What have you got next on the horizon for Manaspark?
Finishing a game. Yeah. Oh, let's think about it. Actually, I'm working on my thesis for mechanical engineering, and it's I've worked a lot with Unity in the same context, and I'm working on a tool for a CAD system where you can export the CAD data to a polygon model more quickly and with settings for each part. I thought about making maybe a plugin for Unity to read it, what you're creating there. On the other hand, I don't know, I think the next step is making a game.
That is always the hardest thing though, because you're going to find yourself needing another tool in the game that you're making, and you'll end up making that tool into an asset. But then you'll be making a load more money at the same time again.
Oh, it's not a lot of money I've made with it. I think it's by now maybe $150 or so.
Is that you come on, you just do that.
I am so happy with it because I just made it out of fun, and it's a really big revenue for me, and it's super cool to talk to all these people, being on your stream and showing my tool. It's just fun, and I like it, and the extra money is quite nice.
Should we give some toys away to these people then?
Yeah, of course, let's do it.
Don't forget, when you do get it, if you do like it, if you do love it, leave a review and a comment on the asset store.
Yeah, please do. This would be lovely.
It's the best advertisement and support that you can give developers is if you use their stuff, give it a score and write something nice about it on the asset store. Because if you don't, it's just full of people who write things like, I downloaded the asset, 1 star. I couldn't get it to work on Unreal. Like, that's the type of comments I see now more than anything on the asset store.
The one day I had a review on my StateMachine 2, and it was all positive, and he made a suggestion like, hey, maybe it was great if you can go directly to your script and so on. What you have seen with the gear icon, I've taken this feedback and put it in my project, and the whole review was nice and was 4 stars, and I was there. Why not 5 stars? But I'm fine with it.
Did you write him a personal message saying, why don't you love me?
You can. That's the problem. You can't contact these people, and I personally don't even get notice if I get a review. I have to check every day what's going on my store page, and I think if I write an answer to his review, he won't get notified too. I think that's not good on the SS. So.
Well, it's not supposed to be a support system, though, is it? It's just supposed to be like, somebody wrote something like that. At least you should get a notification.
Yeah, but I don't.
And you can reply Funtech. It's just you can't send them a personal message. But the thing is that the name that they've reviewed it on, if you just go into the forum, Unity forum, and type in their name, then it brings up their account, and you can just send them a message on the Unity forum.
This is clever.
And then you can say to them things like, "Why did you give me 1 star?
You nice person."
Yeah, I know where you live. Right, who's gonna win? Distant Temples. Distant Temples is a winner, and the last winner is. Can I have a drum roll, please? Sanyo.
Congratulations, Senyu. Senyu, he's the one who introduced me to your channel.
Really? But there's just as well that he won then.
Yeah.
Sanyo's lovely. Sanyo goes around bringing lots of people in. It's like he like goes around picking up stray puppies, bringing them home. So it's a wonderful badger, Sanyo. And we've got now. If somebody can give me an exclamation mark divider, I think is what I was looking for. Exclamation mark divider in chat. There you go. Dividers. Do apologize. Dividers. And an exclamation mark. What was it? State machine? There you go. Thank you, Fresh Me's like, there you go. I know the word you're looking for. Thank you so much, Bao.
So what's your honest opinion? I think the concept of this is very abstract, and I personally still try to wrap my head around it and try to figure out how to explain it to people. Do you think it's a tool for saving time?
The state machine is a tool for. I think it's a tool for saving time in the long run, isn't it? Because as with everything, it's a little bit more work at the beginning to add your events and get your head around it and basically start thinking in the mentality of a finite state machine. But if you already have been going down that road, like I built my own one of these using scriptable objects, and I loved it, but it's a lot of headache. So I'm actually now thinking, as I just played about with this, doing just my I Love Ploppy, of just taking all of that stuff that I've done and moving it into here, just to optimize and speed up my time. And I love the fact that it's actually using the Animator, and that you don't have to worry about having a different editor tool. So that's also nice. Make use of what's been invented. Don't reinvent it.
Yeah. There are also some other features we have not talked about, like you can also use different layers. You have animation layers in your Animator, and you can do on one and the same state machine. You can do parallel. You have one state machine. You can run things in parallel by creating more layers.
Oh. Nice. Is there an example of that in this demo scene?
You could just copy maybe states and redo it. So create another layer, do the menu state or ploppy, and then there should be double the message. And what also works with the sub-state machines, if you add, for example, an event to a sub-state machine, as long as you are in the sub-state machine, the event is active. And while you're in the sub-state machine, you can go on different states, but in the background, the state for the sub-state machine is still active. So you can use the full capacity of the Animator when you are using layers and sub-state machines. You can build quite complex machines with it.
How did I get into the... I messed up the copy.
Because sometimes you can't just put things in the sequence, like running a server request in the background and handling UI stuff in the foreground. There are situations where you can put it in a sequence, so it's quite practical when you do it in different layers. So maybe you can do a layer for networking, do just a layer for UI stuff.
The list is endless of the type of layers you could come up with.
I have not tested performance yet.
I was
I've
about
tested,
to ask you how far could you
yeah.
go with
Uh,
these
I've
concurrent?
Yeah, I've tested performance with the entity state machine, like the drone. I've made a new project and put, I think it was 1,000 empty game objects in the scene with an animator just running one state with, I think, an on enter state. And the main reason for Unity to break down was because there were thousands of animators.
Ah,
That was the thing. I think if you have a really big state machine on an entity, like a complex state machine for the drone, and you maybe have 100 drones, it's 100 times the complex state machine. The complex state machine stores all its methods, I think, in the memory, in the RAM. Because when you start up your game, everything gets reflected once and then stored in anonymous methods. And I think anonymous methods, they are stored in memory, and so maybe your memory grow if you use a lot of complex state machines. But I think you won't get there because this tool is meant for a high level logic, like toggling your UI or going from this window to another window, or scenes, changing scenes and so on, and not doing everything in particular. You could, for example, use it on the train doors we have seen.
yeah.
Every train could have its own entity state machine, so you have two states like closed and open, and you can even attach animations and combine animations with the logic. You can do it together. And so I could have used the opening animation together with the logic for playing the sound, for example, and highlighting the button, etc. But I think performance won't be an issue.
This is lovely, mate. Really is. Can't believe you did it in such a short amount of time. I love your augmented reality things, and I love those games. You need to finish them off.
Yeah, of course. I will send you a copy of Rolling Nene as soon as
Yes, we want to play with your Rolling Nene.
I've already
say that out loud.
I've already started making a tool for this one, a level editor.
So everyone wants. Can I get the football game? Everyone wants it.
You can join our channel and gather some news about it, and if it's ready, you will get notified.
All right, well, thank you so much for the generous prizes, and I'll catch you later.
Yeah. And thank you for inviting me to your stream. It was a great honor to be on the same stream like, I think, Mike from Sinti, and talking to you people, and I had an awesome time. Thank you.
Thank you, Belle. Bye, buddy.
Ciao.
Wow, what a lovely man. What a lovely man. Well, that was it for another live dev interview. I hope you had fun and enjoyed yourselves. You too can take part if you pop over every Fridays and Saturdays at orderws.twitch.tv/themessycoder, 9 PM GMT time. If you want to know what it is in your time zone, use Google. So don't forget to all of your friends and neighbours. If you do like it, click it. Till next time. If you want to see more of my crazy videos, click on the left side of your screen now. And down below, there's that big juicy subscribe button. And right next to it is the magic bell that if you click it, it will tell you if I've got a new video coming out. Till next time.